Oh, you're gonna love this one. Get comfy, let your thoughts wander, and when you're ready, baby, dream of a new life.
The Enchanted Wager. Power Girls Awakening by Catherine Serafina. Chapter 13, October 31st, 2025. Halloween Part 1. The first light of Halloween morning painted my room in soft gold, catching the faint shimmer of the glittery pumpkins I'd left on my dresser. Outside, wind stirred the fallen leaves, crisp and whispering like paper. Inside, my heart beat faster than it should have for a holiday that used to mean nothing more than candy and pranks. Now, it meant me. The Power Girl costume hung on the chair beside my bed, white bodysuit gleaming faintly in the morning sun, blue gloves folded neatly, cropped red cape draped like a promise, gold rope coiled in a perfect loop. It wasn't just an outfit, it was inevitability. I showered, blow-dried my hair, and styled it into the sleek cut Becca's stylist had shown me, short enough to skim my jaw and turn inward at the edges, a shape that framed my face and drew attention to my neckline. No curls, no frizz, just Power Girl precision. The mirror didn't fight me anymore, it simply reflected truth. I eased into the bodysuit slowly, one hip, then the other, working the firm, cool fabric up until it sealed into place with a snug finality. The neckline sat exactly where it belonged, the infamous cutout framing the shape I could never ignore now, my double Ds pressed perfectly, the slightest, delicious thread of spill whenever I breathed deep. Gloves slid up my forearms. I clipped on the short red cape and settled the gold rope across my shoulder. The sight still stole my breath. The doorbell rang twice. "Open up, hero," Haley's voice called. "We brought PSLs." I blinked. "PSLs?" Becca's laugh floated through the wall. "Pumpkin spice lattes, babe. It's the only legal breakfast on Halloween." "Oh," I said as I opened the door, rolling my eyes. "Guess I missed that part of girl culture." Becca smirked, handing me the cup. "Don't worry, it's a required rite of passage." Haley brushed past me, the scent of cinnamon following. She was already half in costume, green corset with vine patterns crawling up her sides, legs wrapped in sheer stockings patterned with leaves. If this doesn't make me poison ivy, I'm demanding a refund. "Refund denied," Becca said, stepping in behind her in a fitted blue and red Supergirl outfit that hugged her body like it had been printed there. Her golden belt gleamed in the light. "Wow," I murmured before I caught myself. "Right," Becca grinned. "We're dangerously close to saving the world through fashion alone." They crowded into my room, laughter bouncing off the walls as Becca set her latte down and slipped into coach mode. "Okay, Power Girl, pose practice, hands on hips, shoulders back, own the skyline." I obeyed, hesitating at first, then straightening. "Most people won't care about the pose," I said dryly, glancing down. "They'll be too busy staring at what's spilling out of my top." Haley nearly spit out her drink. "Finally, acceptance!" She threw her hands up. "It only took a month for you to realize you're a walking distraction." Becca laughed, pretending to shield her eyes. "Please, the costume is historically accurate. I'm just grateful you're not freezing to death in that neckline." "It's surprisingly warm," I smirked. "Must be powered by shame." "Confidence," Becca corrected. "Big difference." We spent another hour reapplying lipstick, perfecting my eyeliner, comparing the red of Becca's cape to mine. When we finally declared ourselves combat ready, Haley clapped. "All right, girls, last-minute decorations before we start the candy mayhem." It hadn't even been planned that we'd start the night at my house, but now that the idea had stuck, Becca wanted it to look like a Hallmark movie had a baby with Gotham City. We tore into boxes of fake cobwebs and string lights, laughter echoing through the halls. I spotted the floppy black witch hat I'd bought during our shopping trip and set it atop my styled blonde hair, tilting it just enough to be playful. The memory of Claire in the store came rushing back. How the little girl had tugged the same hat down over her eyes, twirling and giggling as it slipped sideways. I'd laughed then too, quietly, unseen from the next aisle. When the hat ended up on a clearance rack by the register, I hadn't even hesitated. Buying it had felt right. A small, silly connection I couldn't explain, only feel. "Perfect," Becca said, stepping back to admire our handiwork as she taped a paper bat to the doorframe. Power Girl in a witch hat. That's some multiverse crossover energy right there. Haley hung up strands of orange lights, her green sleeves shimmering. Supergirl and Power Girl, sisters of style, while I, the great Poison Ivy, bring chaos and oxygen. I giggled, adjusting the hat. You're bringing glitter and mild workplace violations, actually. Becca howled with laughter. She's not wrong. We paused to take pictures in front of the glowing pumpkins, cups still in hand, light bouncing off our costumes. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was pretending to belong among them. I did. And as evening crept closer, the house buzzed with warmth and laughter, 3 women shining brighter than the decorations we'd hung. The living room buzzed with laughter and the rustle of candy wrappers. The porch light bathed everything in a warm amber glow, flickering against the fake cobwebs we'd strung earlier. Every few minutes, the doorbell rang, another burst of tiny voices shouting trick or treat, and another round of squeals from Haley or Becca as they scrambled to the door. "Okay, that little cowboy with the inflatable horse," Becca said, clutching her stomach as she laughed. "Funniest thing I've ever seen." "Please," Haley said, leaning in the doorway, vines swaying around her legs. "The toddler in the banana suit just won Halloween. Game over." Becca looked her up and down, smirking. "You know, maybe you should cover up a little, Miss Ivy. Your butt's about to traumatize half the neighborhood." Haley grinned, unbothered. "Oh, please, my vines are tasteful." Then she paused, snapping her fingers. "Wait, I did buy a little green skirt for this. Totally forgot." She disappeared for 10 seconds and came back with a sparkly leaf-patterned skirt tied around her hips. "See? Now I'm PG-13 again." "Barely," Becca teased. "More like PG-15. The next round of knocks sent Haley bounding forward again. "Okay, my turn," she called, opening the door to a small group of kids dressed as a pirate, a robot, and what looked like a cardboard box labeled Minecraft Steve. "Adorable," she said, handing out candy. "You guys are crushing it." I smiled as I adjusted a few crooked decorations by the entryway. I hadn't taken off the witch hat. I liked how it looked, how it felt playful in a way that didn't need explanation. My heart lifted with each squeal from the porch, each laugh from my friends. It all felt so normal. When the doorbell chimed again, Becca and Haley both turned toward me at once. "Your turn, Power Girl," Becca said, voice lilting with mischief. "We've done our duty." "Yeah," Haley added, grinning. "Go melt some hearts, Kara." I rolled my eyes but set down the candy bowl I was refilling. "Fine, but if it's another zombie toddler, I'm retiring." I pulled open the door and froze. A small girl in a glittering Tinkerbell dress stood there, wings raised proudly, cheeks pink from the cold. "Twick-a-tweet," she chirped. Next to her stood her father, tall, broad-shouldered, and unmistakably Lucas. His Peter Pan costume wasn't exactly movie accurate, but it was more than enough to impress his daughter. The green tunic fitted neatly, a leather belt at his waist, and a felt hat perched over his dark hair just so. The real show of bravery, though, was the tights, thin, clinging, unapologetically green. Somehow he managed to make it work. More than that, he made it look good. He crouched beside the girl, smiling. "Go on, Clara. Say thank you." My heart tripped over itself. "You're absolutely adorable," I said to the little one, bending down with a grin. "I love your wings." Clara twirled proudly, her wings wobbling with each spin. "Daddy said they sparkle in the dark." "They do," I said softly, warmth in my voice. "You look like real fairy royalty." Clara giggled, then peered up at me, squinting like she was trying to place something. "You look like my Barbie," she exclaimed, eyes wide. I laughed before I could stop myself. "That's the best compliment I've ever gotten." Lucas chuckled too, rubbing the back of his neck. "Sorry, she's been saying that about everything shiny for a week, but she's not wrong." "Flattery runs in the family, huh?" I teased lightly. His eyes met mine then, steady, curious, and far too warm. "Guess so?" Clara tugged his hand. "Daddy, come on. More candy?" Right. He smiled again, looking back to me. "I'm Lucas, by the way. Live a few houses down and across the street." "Yeah," I said quickly, heart fluttering. "I know. I mean, I'm Kara." "Right." He nodded, the corner of his mouth tugging into a grin. "Nice to officially meet you." I nodded back, matching his smile. "You too." Clara beamed, waving her wings one last time. "Bye, Barbie." "Bye, fairy princess," I said softly, watching them head down the walkway. The wings caught the porch light, glitter scattering like dust behind her. Lucas turned once more at the sidewalk, his voice carrying just enough to reach me. "Happy Halloween, Kara." My name sounded different when he said it, steady, certain, real. "Happy Halloween," I whispered, though he was already halfway down the street. For a few seconds, I just stood there, leaning against the doorway, the witch hat slipping slightly as my heart refused to slow down. Then I shut the door and turned back toward the laughter spilling from the living room. "Well," Becca called, "did Barbie charm another crowd?" I grinned, trying not to blush. "Just the cutest Tinkerbell I've ever seen, and her dad." Haley let out a mock gasp. "Peter Pan came to your door and you didn't kidnap him? Amateur move." Becca joined in, wagging a finger. "Rule number 1 of Halloween flirting: never waste good tights." I threw a piece of candy at both of them, laughing. "You two are insufferable." "Admit it," Haley said, winking. "She called you Barbie again, didn't she?" I hesitated, then smiled faintly. "Yeah," I said softly. "She did." The laughter carried on as we finished packing up, the candy bowl nearly empty and the porch finally quiet again. Haley gathered her vines and Becca checked her makeup in the reflection of the dark window, both still teasing me about my Barbie admirer, as they slipped into their coats. When the lights were dimmed and the last wrappers were tossed, I lingered near the hallway mirror. The witch hat sat crooked on the table beside me, a trace of glitter still clinging to its brim. I reached up, smoothing a stray strand of blonde hair behind my ear, the sleek cut framing my face just the way the stylist had promised it would. My reflection met my gaze, confident, calm, radiant in a way that no longer startled me. The cape rested easily across my shoulders, the red fabric catching the faintest glow from the pumpkin lights. For a long moment, I simply stared, tracing every curve, every soft contour of my face, the shape of my lips, the fullness of my chest beneath the white fabric. There wasn't a hint of Kenneth left. No shadow in the jawline, no echo in the eyes, not even in the way I stood. My breath caught. Half disbelief, half release. It wasn't that Kenneth had vanished, it was that he'd never really belonged in this reflection. Maybe he'd just been waiting for me to see who'd been there all along. I smiled faintly, the memory of Claire's voice echoing in my head. "You look like my Barbie." And maybe that was okay. Maybe that was who I was meant to be all along. From the doorway, Becca called, "Ready, Kara? Party time?" I took one last look in the mirror, my smile deepening. The night ahead didn't feel like a risk anymore. It felt inevitable, like destiny waiting just beyond the next door.
Did that leave you wanting more? The naughty version's waiting for you on my Patreon, along with so many other juicy little secrets. Go on, baby. You know where to find me.